The one good thing about Mountain Dew, you can't give it product placement when you're filming in front of a green screen, baby. Hey everyone, my name is Soul, and 2021 was a year that took a little bit to get up off our feet there. We had to kind of get back to the normal world. We had to go outside and embrace the light again. And it took us a couple months to get back into theaters, and you really felt that. I only saw 33 films as of the end of this year. That being said, this list right here does not include my specials, comedy specials, short films, anything like that. Some short series, some long series that are like, oh, are they movies? Kind of. None of that. These are just straight up films. And I was going to do a top 10. I'm going to put this as a top 10 video because it technically is. But I really just wanted to look through each of the films I watched this year. This is them kind of ranked bottom to top. So this being the worst and going this way. And I'm probably going to speed run through these. And then once we get to our top 10 up here, I'll go more in depth, but huge spoilers for the entire video. Look at all that. Whoa. But yeah, it, like I said, took a couple months to get back into theaters, and my wife and I, we go to the theater a lot, but even when we're able to go back, there have been a couple weeks where we were just so happy to be back in there, man, and then like even as of late, like it's just harder to get out there and you're less encouraged to. That being said, I still go like once at least every other week, if not every week. That being said, I also watch films on the interwebs, on the, what are they called? The Netflixes, the Amazon Primes, all those product placements, sponsorships. And this is basically it. And the reason I don't want to just do a straight up top 10 video is because those videos, at least for me, would be so worthless because my top 10 movies of the year 2020 is going to be drastically different in like 3 months when I, catch up on the backlog, And I feel like it's that for every single year. These top 10 films will change. Every single year I've had like top 10 films of that year. It changed within weeks, if not months, if not years. And that's the point of, you having a list like this, is it keeps changing and evolving. Shout out to Letterboxd, by the way, where you can find lists like this for every single year. Since I've joined the platform, every time I watch a movie, I add it to that year. And that way I can, completely computerize my opinions like a fucking freak. Anyway, let's get started here. Starting with the worst movies, right here at the bottom. This is what I call shovel content, and I'm sorry for like the two people who like this movie, my coworker being one of them. I could not even digest this movie properly without like feeling all sorts of ways. This is the only 2 out of 10 this year. There was no ones, but I gave it a 2 out of 10. And God, I have a whole video that I wrote for this film. It's gonna probably not be out anytime soon, but maybe I don't even know if it will be out at this point. I would like to imagine, but I will completely roast this film eventually. Right after that, Space Jam: A New Legacy with a 4 out of 10. And I went into this film with a bunch of people who liked the original Space Jam, it was a Space Jam party, and little did we know the film that we were about to watch, man. This is the corniest movie I've ever seen. This is a multi-hour ad campaign for HBO Max. Other than LeBron James kind of being funny and his kid being there, and they're just, trying to have a good family fun time. Other than that, and Lola Bunny being a meme, it's awful, man. After that, we got Venom: Let There Be Carnage, which is a 5 out of 10 for me. I have a whole video of this on my second channel, Soul Show. I have reviews for actually a lot of these films over on Soul Show, so go and check that channel out for further thoughts. But Venom: Let There Be Carnage was one of the most like fruitless superhero films I've seen, where it existed for the sake of existing and accomplishes nothing and does nothing with his character and doesn't progress story or anything. It's just a waste of time. After that, we got Spiral up here, and I am a very positive guy. You will learn this about me because even these films, which by most people's standards are dog shit, I've given good scores. Spiral, on the other hand, was a film that I gave a 5 out of 10, a completely neutral score. So everything going up from here is at least a tiny bit positive, which I know I'm going to have to defend a lot of these films because the internet's a mean place, but Spiral, this one was a mixed bag for me because, and I go more into this in my review, but this film didn't know if it wanted to be a scary horror Saw tribute or if it wanted to be like this weird mystery cop, we got a political message agenda kind of film. And you can see how terribly those two things blend in this film. But that being said, you still have like Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson, but the ending of the film completely saves it. It's not even a bad film just because of the ending. Again, Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Rock. The Little Things. This is just a boring film. I have nothing noteworthy to say about it other than The Little Things. This is when HBO Max was like really starting to be like, hey, we have full feature films coming out on our platform. And they were like, oh, let's put out The Little Things, the most boring, sleep-inducing film I've seen in I don't know how long. It's basically like a TV, like true crime or like even like a Law and Order, your cop shows. It's basically just an episode of that in film format with very little payoff, very little actual things to remember about it. Speaking of remembering, after that we have Reminiscence with a 6 out of 10. I don't know if I would still put that under Mortal Kombat. But again, I usually trust my thoughts right when I come out of the films, and I know I watched Mortal Kombat first, so I watched this and I put it under Mortal Kombat. There are things I liked about this movie. It does have a little bit of style. It does have a little bit of Hugh Jackman being a fucking badass and stuff like that. And again, the fictional city it takes place in, ooh, it's sleek. That being said, the story is almost infuriating. Like, there are interesting points, but it's also infuriating. And you just get lost in itself, and it doesn't know what it wants to do by the end, and you're just ready to get out of the theater by that point. Mortal Kombat is a cheesy, dumb movie, and that's what everyone says about the first one, but it's still cheesy and dumb as all hell. It's just, it's a video game movie that's cash grabbing. Like, I don't see the criticism difference between this and the first movie. But that's besides the point. Yes, this is a cheap, cash cow, dumb film that exists for the sake of existing. And yeah, it's exactly what you think it would be. There's fun, dumb action scenes, and you might look up from your popcorn every so often and like chuckle or something. I don't know what to tell you. After that, we got Malignant. This is James Wan's latest film, and it is a conflicting movie, man, because some of the things feel so purposeful and so deliberate, and other times, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's either trying to scare me or he's like trying to make me laugh, and it's so ridiculous but so awesome at the same time. It's trying to be campy, hard to be campy when you're also so many other things, and I really just didn't know how to feel about it. I did like it to a certain extent, but again, all of these are very low 6 out of 10s. And up from that, we have Vacation Friends, which is like at the bottom of a 7 out of 10. Yeah, you have some goofy characters, and they're going on a goofy adventure. This guy is basically trying to propose to his girl, and then another wacky couple gets involved, and John Cena and his dumb haircut. Yeah, it's all those things. Those Who Wish Me Dead seems like it would be just a boring filler film, but no, this actually, this one got me a little bit. There's some really cool scenes in here. Films like this, which I probably would have given a 6 if I just watched it on TV. If you get the full theater experience, you hear all the fucking burning forests that are in this film, that crispiness, that's why I come to the theater. Halloween Kills, a reason I don't go to the theater. Halloween Kills, I know I gave it a 7, and I feel about the same as I did with the first film, but it's so goofy by the end of the film. It's dumb enough that I enjoy it for the sake of being dumb. And then there's some actual moments where it's like, hey, it's Halloween. It's, another Halloween film. It's a franchise I don't mind kind of just milking itself because it's been doing that for decades at this point. So this time around, yeah, I'm just going with it. They want to throw the entire town at Michael Myers. Yeah, I'm with it. My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission, the latest My Hero Academia film. This one was easily the weakest. The fact that I gave it a fairly decent 7 compared to the other films, which were spectacular. That being said, if you like My Hero Academia, you're going to enjoy it. Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know this is a film some people might have at the bottom of their list. Some people might have this at the top of their list. I enjoy this film. I just think it's entirely up its own ass and entirely way too long. 4 hours is a runtime that is not necessary for this film. I'm not against 4-hour films. I'm not against films that like maybe want to do 1 and 2 parts and kind of encourage you, hey, maybe come back later. I'm not against what this film does. I love the fact that this film accomplishes what it accomplishes. A director was able to take a film back into his own hands and craft it into more of his ideal image, and thus a better product is born. I am all for that. That being said, I still don't think it's worth that runtime, and I still don't think this is more interesting or the characters are better than most of the Marvel films. And I know that I have a bunch of fucking Marvel films on here, and I'm gonna seem like a stupid ass fanboy, but like, I don't go into Marvel films ready to suck their dick. I just know if I go into a DC film, I don't expect that level of quality, and sometimes that's exactly what happens. Jungle Cruise. This, felt like shovel content. By shovel content, I just mean, we're just feeding the content cow. That being said, it's a dumb, fun Disney film, and they get actually a lot of really cool set pieces, and Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson. It's a fun movie. I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna at least get some chuckles, and your kids will be happy, and they're also gonna be happy watching Candyman. Candyman. I still have not watched the original, and I think that would have really benefited my experience. Because there are a lot of things I liked about this film, but like the ending kind of made me sour on it because the last act of this film just kind of left me a little more boggled than satisfied. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. We're actually like getting in the high 7s. Yes, I enjoy Welcome to Raccoon City, even though everyone shit on this film, but you can go watch my review. I actually thought it was pretty good. And again, in like a lot of 7 out of 10s can just be dumb films that are still having a good time. I think that's what this film is. I didn't really get that attached to Resident Evil enough that like I am upset that they're not doing it right, and I'm still familiar enough with the characters to get references and stuff like that. So I'm like the perfect audience member for this. Wrath of Man is a badass movie, man. Jason Statham proves why he's the go-to guy for your action film. And again, I'll say what I said in my review. Every single time I go into a Jason Statham movie, I'm like, this guy again. How many times are they? And then I'm just like, damn it, he did it again. He's on point. This might have been his best one yet. So yeah, Wrath of Man's pretty good. Old, M. Night Shyamalan's latest film, and another film that I enjoyed probably much more than your average audience member. Yes, I thought Old intrigued me. It kept me guessing. It got a little cheap, little cheap moments here and there. Some parts were goofy. M. Night Shyamalan still doesn't know how to write movies, but I still think he's a pretty good director, and just the isolation you get in this film and watching the characters, because we've really come a long way with, you know, the aging technology and the aging makeup and the blah blah blah. They accomplish a lot with this film. There's a couple shortcuts and a couple things I roll my eyes at, but I think the pros outweigh the cons here, and I think that's the same way about Cruella. There's like at least this entire column I'm gonna get roasted for, but yes, these are all 8 out of 10s for me. Cruella, which is like the bottom of 8 out of 10. Yes, I thought Cruella was an interesting character. I thought this film had style. I thought it wasn't just your every other Disney live action film. It actually had a point and a purpose, and they had a direction. The after credit scene was dumb as all hell. There again are dumb moments. It's a Disney live action film, but they still accomplish a lot, and it was entertaining, and I have a whole video about it, so go and watch it. Godzilla versus Kong. Yes, 8 out of 10. Big dumb monster fight. I know some people like walked out being like, oh, too many humans, or like, oh, they're just nitpicking. Are you really gonna nitpick Godzilla versus King Kong? Are you really gonna be that person to like really go into? I get it. You're either a Godzilla purist or you're a big monkey boy. I don't know why a lot of people expected this film to like really blow their ass off, to be the next Citizen Kane. It's Godzilla versus Kong. Yes, it's dumb. Yes, there's like a whole sub arc to this film that's worthless. I really don't care about Paperboy and the kid from Stranger Things going on side quests together, but it's still awesome, man. The final act of this film, I forget the Inner Earth, I forget whatever it's called. It's badass. I don't care what people say. Raya and the Last Dragon. Yes, another Disney film that feels like we're entering a new era that's like not really as good as the last one. This feels like the Disney Plus era, and that being said, it still looks spectacular. It looks amazing. There's like really big moments, but it just feels so like half-baked at times. As far as like the story and the characters, like the lore is like really tight, but like actual like moment to moment like scenes, not so much. Black Widow is a film that feels like, by half-baked, I mean like we like left it in the oven like as it was cooking, and then we turned the oven off like 3 years ago, and then we like are like, oh shit, well yeah, let's pop it out, baby. Yeah, it felt like a weird movie, but at the same time, it does a lot of what I like about Marvel films, and Lawrence Pugh is enough to carry this film into the deepest parts of my heart. Anyway, Dear Evan Hansen, probably the lowest rated film I have this high. I know the discourse for this film is pretty toxic, but I think, you know, as someone who didn't watch the play, the source material was good enough. I really didn't think he looked as old as like he does to me now. Like I watched the film and no one told me how old he was, and then they told me, and ever since then I'm like, God, he's old as shit. But yes, Dear Evan Hansen, like the songs, like I was singing the songs days afterwards. I was thinking about this film days afterward. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it is what it is. The Suicide Squad. We're almost, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is the top 10. The top 10 films of 2021, starting with number 10, The Suicide Squad. My wife and I met each other watching the first Suicide Squad, and it was very cathartic to go back and watch the much better version. And James Gunn, he's really all about having fun and like big superhero ensemble films. And this film, again, doesn't make a whole lot of like DC like overlay universe kind of sense. Like how this fits into the timeline and the universe, I don't know, but I don't care anymore because this film by itself is badass, even without the original Suicide Squad to back it up, because they feel very separate from each other. It's really, really gory, just actiony. It does not hold its punches. It goes for every punchline it can, does not care how bloody it gets, and it's a fun time. Free Guy, which is my number 9, another film that had no fucking right to be as good as it was, and here it is on my top 10. Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. He's a video game NPC come to life, and he's in my top 10 films. Yes, this film had a couple moments that were really cringy, a couple moments that really left a bad taste in my mouth. But at the heart of the film, they are trying something a little cheeky, a little fun, and they get away with it. There's some really cool scenes in here, and there's still a story. Like, there's still like a relationship and like an actual kind of working love triangle that doesn't make you like want to vomit. Like, there's a lot of things in this film that I was like, okay, wow, they really they wanted to try today. Way to go, Hollywood. Not that you know what I'm trying to say. Free Guy is a fun movie. After that, number 7. Wait, no, this is number 8. Yes, number 8. I learned how to count today. Thank you. Number 8, Eternals. Another film that's probably higher than most people's, but yeah. This is basically a textbook Marvel film, and I know it's very cliche, and I know that the characters aren't super, multi-dimensional, but there's just something about Eternals that like really captured my childhood innocent little boy, big, strong things fight each other mindset, because the characters, despite not having a bunch of layers, I still cared about each of them. I heard reviews talking about like you won't remember any of the characters' name or their powers by the end of the film. I was like, I fucking love Icarus and Gilgamesh and Cersei and all these people. I was having a fun time. No one else is having a fun time. So yeah, I despite what people say, enjoy Eternals, and I am actually looking forward to see what they do with them in the MCU moving forward. After that, we got number 7, Encanto. Encanto was a really fun movie, and it really captured my Disney innocent child mind once again, and it's probably one of, if not the best Disney film I've seen in at least like a couple years, I would say. I actually was humming the songs afterward. I was, coming back to look at scenes on YouTube. I don't do that with a lot of films, and Encanto, it just worked for me. Don't Look Up. I put this on my list last night, so there might be some recency bias there, but again, my lists often change and grow and expand all the time, so don't expect this to be a concrete list. Don't Look Up was able to just crack in like the day before I filmed it. Don't Look Up is a film about the end of the world, and it's also a comedy with a bunch of stars playing really obnoxious people, and it feels too much like the real world, and some people think it has a political agenda. I thought Don't Look Up was really fucking funny. I think there was a lot of cuts in this film that like just felt like internet content, and then there was a lot of moments where it felt like a real big boy film, and you had Leonardo DiCaprio crying and screaming, and yeah, I thought it worked for a film, and I didn't even like really walk away immediately and think, oh, people are really gonna get divided, because I was like, it's not really a politics film. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I just got out of the pandemic. Everything's political. All right, now we got the top 5. This is where boys become men. This is where the greatest films of all time live in the Hall of Fame, or at least until I put more things on the list. Last Night in Soho. Again, probably putting this film higher than most people's list, but I thought this film was badass. Edgar Wright, one of the most talented directors out there, and Last Night in Soho, he's trying something different. He's got a certain style, and he's calling back on a lost generation, and he's using the sounds and the sights of this generation to like put in a new style of film. And yeah, I thought it was badass. A lot of the stuff in this film sat with me for days. There's a big twist ending. There's a lot of moments in this film that are really substantial. Last Night in Soho is like one of those just like pure cinema films. It's an original story with like really cool styles, and I know some people didn't like it, but I liked it a lot. Then we got Dune, which was like right. I almost immediately gave it a 9 out of 10, and I probably will once the entire story is there. But as a standalone film in the year 2021, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, only because it just doesn't feel like we got the reward, the good cinema dopamine you get at the end of the film. We just didn't get that, and so I feel like a little like, That being said, it's badass. I never saw any other film like this that like really dumped all of this lore and actual cool universe stuff, and gave me a universe I wanted to slip into and be a part of in a long time. Dune's fucking badass, and again, great source material, I assume. So the fact that they were actually able to bring it to life and actually do some cool things with it, I'm all about it. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I don't know why, maybe I watched too many Jackie Chan adventures growing up, but I have a soft spot for like martial arts meets goofy kung fu films. And Shang-Chi brings that with a Marvel spin on it, and they have real kung fu fighting. Everybody was kung fu fighting. But yeah, they actually have real martial arts films that are revolved around big action set pieces, the good Marvel shit you come to expect. And on top of that, they have a new character who I'm more interested in than most of the new MCU characters. They actually have like a cool finish, and sure, it turns into every other Marvel film by the end of the film, but I was all about it. I thought it was badass. Legend of Ten Rings, one of the best Marvel films I've seen in a while. And then we have Inside, Bo Burnham's special. And yes, I said no specials were going to be on the list, and that is true. But I think Inside, and it's my personal rules as to what gets in here. I think Inside counts as an actual full film because it's not just a guy standing on stage for an hour. It goes into a longer runtime, and it does way more things with that. It's more of a musical bedroom story than it is just a guy on a stage talking in front of an audience. Inside had me thinking about the film weeks after the fact. I was still listening to the songs way after the fact. I'm still coming back to some of the songs, some of the scenes. Inside felt like one of those kind of like perfect pure projects that you don't get a lot of. And for a guy who was raised on a bunch of YouTubers sitting in their bedroom in the dark talking about how depressed they are and how shitty the world is, this felt like a very cathartic way to turn that into something beautiful. And yeah, I love Bo Burnham's Inside. 9 out of 10. And then finally, with a 9, and yes, there's no 10 out of 10s this year, Spider-Man No Way Home. And I have a whole video I just put out on this, so go and watch that. But yes, No Way Home tapped a nostalgia boner that had been dormant for years. It brought my favorite superhero back into action, back into the top of the food chain where he belongs. And yeah, nothing really got more badass than a couple of moments in No Way Home for me this year. And there's some moments, again, it's just more traditional Marvel stuff, but those are the worst parts about this film. With some films like Eternals, just getting cool action scenes amidst, your dumb comedy moments, that was the best parts of that film. No Way Home, that is like in the back seat and we're just dragging it along for the sake of it because there's actually a lot of badass things that happen, and it made me reflect on the entire franchise, even the entire MCU, under a different light. I've had more fun nerding out over this movie than I have about anything else this year. No Way Home is badass and currently my favorite film of 2021. Let me know your films down below. Feel free to share your top 10. Maybe link me your own Letterboxd accounts. Maybe make your own list. Do whatever you want in those comments. Get down and dirty. That being said, again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my thoughts on these films, I appreciate your time. And until next time, with that, I leave you.